from the vault. I am so excited to have one of my now dear friends here with us today. This is D Mercado from The Stylish Bride. You may have heard of The Stylish Bride. She actually is the OG of bridal stylists. So Julie Sabatino created an amazing company, I think about a decade ago, right?
20 years ago.
Okay, 20 years ago. We don't want to age Julie or anything,
but she takes a lot of pride in it. So.
She has been really killing it in the game, obviously for 2 decades, but she really kind of started it all.
Yeah.
And then D joined the team how long ago?
3.5 years now.
Oh my God, that's it? I feel like you've been here forever. Okay, so D's been with Julie for about 3.5 years and is in and out of our office, I would say at least once a week.
Yeah, I need a desk. I'm ready for my office.
We're happy to set you up here. At least once a week with her amazing clients who really span the New York area and all throughout the country. So I'm going to hand it over to Dee. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what your day-to-day is like as a bridal stylist and what that really means for people who don't really understand?
You know, I love this question because no day is like the other. So most of the time, as you would assume, we are shopping with our clients. We're taking them to the best bridal shops and boutiques. We're exposing them to the best designers out there that they should be working with to avoid any bad surprises or just really enjoy the process. So we make sure that anyone we're connecting our brides and clients to are the very best. Okay. So we not only style, but we're also a connector in a way. So we introduce them to the best in the industry during their journey. But when we're not shopping, we're almost the planner for wardrobe as well. We make sure we're really prideful in our process to make sure that during the span of the year that we are working with our brides, we're planning everything to the T, when to make bridesmaids decisions, when to shop for accessories, how long should you wait to purchase your wedding dress in general, because there's a lot of pressure out there. So we're really the mediators at the end of the day, more than the stylist. Also the therapist.
I was waiting for that. All the hats.
Yes, we wear many hats, but we're truly here to support our brides into the wardrobe journey, which has become bigger than life, I feel like these days.
You have just hit on so many points. I don't even know where to begin. But let's start really with the beginning. So client gets engaged. Yeah. I feel like one of the first things a bride thinks about is her wedding dress. Of course, you think about the venue and of course your soon-to-be fiance and husband, but let's be serious, it's all about the looks. So bride gets engaged, she may feel overwhelmed. How do you kind of start the process besides calling you? Like what is your best advice for a bride? Do you start thinking about budget? Do you start thinking about dress style? Like how do you get your mind in a place where you can focus on the shopping experience?
So the way we like to do things is by providing a timeline for our clients. It's a way of visually really representing what their timeline as a bride is going to look like. So this is where we say, make this decision on your bridal dress or your wedding dress. I would say 12 to 8 months is a comfortable spot. Not to say that if you make decisions slower.
And for the bride who maybe has a shorter timeline, there are options.
Exactly. So if you come in saying, I only have 5 months to make decisions, we know where to take you and introduce you to make those decisions as quickly as possible. But again, without feeling the pressure from, unfortunately, sales reps out there and other people that might not have your best interests at heart. So we like to really be transparent and, again, only work with the people that are respectful of their journey as a bride.
That's an interesting point. So sometimes salespeople will put the pressure on you, and sometimes it's real because it does take a long time to manufacture a dress, and a lot of our clients, a lot of your clients, they're really being built from the ground up and they're totally custom. So let's give some advice to the brides who might have a shorter timeline. Where should they shop? Let's list some shops. Where are the best places to go right now?
Oh my gosh. You know, I think that Monique Goulier right now is the best for a reason. I love them so much because they can accommodate as much as they can shorter timelines. Mark Ingram, we adore the man. He's been in the industry for so long, and really to this day I think is one of those designers that still cares so deeply about every single client and bride. You know, Oscar, as much as we love them, has a longer timeline. Not to say they might have, let's say if you're looking for a simpler silhouette, they might have a piece that they have in their back closet. So we're always going to ask about the options, but not to, again, call out specific designers. But I think that at least those two I've seen hit very short deadlines and timelines.
Okay.
But again, always ask. There's no wrong in asking if it's possible. There might be a rush fee from time to time, but if you're open to that, then we'll go for that and they'll give you what you want.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about bridal silhouettes and what's trending right now.
Yeah.
I know I see a lot of Verstolo brides in strapless floral Monique dresses. We also have a lot of clients who shop Mark Ingram and also his beautiful store on Madison Avenue.
Yeah.
Tell us what's trending in bridal. What do we think we're also going to see in 2025?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I was just talking about what we're seeing in the market at the moment, and we can't ignore the fact that it's all about the drop waist, the basque waist. I mean, it is everywhere, and for good reason. I think it helps brides accentuate a little bit their silhouette in a tasteful way. I think that if they're going with a straight across strapless dress, it's a nice way to add a little bit of youth and kind of flair in a way.
A little more modern, off the runway kind of vibe.
Yeah, I think that another trend we're seeing in general is the idea that you will change out of your dress. So
yeah, we got to get into the multiple looks.
Absolutely, but I think that they're not necessarily overthinking if a dress is heavy, if a dress is overly pearled or overly this or that. I mean, they're really going in knowing that they're going to change into another fabulous piece.
Yeah.
So I think that brides are not necessarily just sticking to one look. They're showcasing so many sides of their personalities, which is so much fun.
One of the things that I love about my job is, first of all, I get to see everything first, which is so fun. But I always see the bridal look usually first, and that look is always timeless. It's classic. I mean, obviously with a bridal look, it's something you want to hold on to and not really be too avant-garde and too trendy. And then I really get to learn who the client is when I see their rehearsal look, when I see their after party look. It's like side A and side B to their personality. So I can't imagine how fun it is to shop those looks. So let's talk a little bit about the other looks aside from bridal. Where are you shopping? Are you finding that brides are going white and traditional, but still with that like fun, trendy, modern silhouette? Are you seeing color? What are we seeing these days?
I think this is why Julie and myself are really great at this, because my background comes in the carpet and event industry, and hers, of course, in bridal. For this day and age, bride, they're not just focusing on the bridal look.
Nope.
They're really, as you were saying, showing multiple sides of their personalities, A, B. So I do think that even though some brides want to believe that rehearsal look, let's say color for rehearsal dinner is in, I would say that there is a bride out there that still wants to wear white all weekend because she's not necessarily the gal that always rocks white. At least like a New York City girl really loves to lean into the darker tones because it's New York City, fall, winter. I mean, that's all we lean into. But there's a lot of magic in something extra and different, not just wear blue. No, they're wearing blue with a big bow and a bit beautiful silk moire. It's just really, there's no limit, I think.
Do we still feel like something blue is a thing?
You know, yes and no. Yes, because it's still a way to have it be different than white. But I also think that brides are not as respectful, and maybe that's the wrong word, but they don't necessarily believe that they need to have the something borrowed, something blue. I think they just want to do what makes them happy.
They want to look and feel good.
Yes.
And if it's blue, great. But if it's green or red, let's do it.
They'll find a way to still tie it back to the meaning behind it, as to why that color, why that dress, and I think that matters more than maybe the older traditions.
I think that's really good advice. Also, with different cultures, you get to kind of bring in different aspects, and I always find that really interesting also with a lot of our brides. Let's talk a little bit about bridal fittings. I had a client in yesterday who kind of had an issue with her dress. It came in 3 sizes too big. Obviously, it was very frustrating, but we're all human. Mistakes happen. We like to be very empathetic to that, but at the same time, this is her dress. She's getting married next month. How do you handle situations like that, and what advice would you give to this bride?
That's a great question, because as you just said, things happen in our industry. We would never want such a thing to happen because it takes an emotional toll on the bride and the client. But
right, you have all these emotions. There's so much pressure. Wedding's a month out, and that's usually when you really start the serious fittings. So there's a lot going on.
I come from a place of kindness first. So I do think that the person who made the mistake, the team that made the mistake, the first thing they want to do is fix it. So
for sure,
please allow them, give them grace to fix it. If they cannot fix it, if the dress cannot be produced, obviously in a month, they're going to recommend the best seamstress in town, and she will be able to fix it. They will, I'm sure, will accommodate for the additional alterations and whatnot. I think there's ways to allow people, again, give them the grace to fix it, because it will come from a place of joy and excitement and just versus fear and kind of a negative place. Again, I sound now like a different, I think I'm sounding more like a maybe spiritual person. But I think it's
listen, we all have to have that moment where we take a breath and we problem solve.
Yeah, I think it's all about allowing the people to fix it first, and if they don't, give us a call. We're happy to help. We're happy to send you to our top seamstress in town. So I think there's always a way to fix it, always a way around it. Don't panic. I know it's hard. It's easier said than done.
And that's why it's also important to align yourself with a team like Dee's and Julie's, because they will just help you get to the place where you need to be. Let's talk about one of my favorite things, accessories. So obviously we know a lot of your brides love Verstolo. Talk to me about what your favorite jewelry and accessory trends are right now. I personally know your taste and Julie's taste, but why don't you share with everyone how you like to see jewelry incorporated into the wedding look?
I think that we've talked a lot about the fact that more is more today. And as a professional, I think starting with a cluster is a good place.
Dee loves the clusters.
I love them so much because it's just a base. And then you can add a necklace, you can add a bracelet. I think there's so much to go from a good base rather than, hey, if you are the bride that wants a statement piece by your ear, let's lean into that and then minimize it with a bracelet versus a necklace on top of it all. But I do think that we're seeing a lot of options. They want all the options. We just had a client that had 14 pieces sent on their wedding, and they wanted that. They wanted to be able to say, okay, if tomorrow morning I am not into the drop look, I have a cluster. I have something else. Yeah, so I think that brides just love options right now, and they love feeling like the sky's the limit. I think that you're getting so creative with ways to give two looks in one by interchanging the drop and what it looks like. I think if they're going to change, limiting the time that they're away from the celebration, of course, is what they want. So we are trying to get creative as to how to give them that.
I love that. Let's also talk a little bit about the moms, because I know you work with a lot of brides and their moms and mother of the groom as well. How is their approach to the wedding look different? How do they stand out without obviously taking away the focus of the bride?
We talk about this so much because the questions of, can I wear black, for example, is huge for mother of the brides and mother of the grooms. And we say there's a time and place. Consider the venue, consider the time of year. Right now we have a fabulous Herrera black dress with a flower print with a lot of color, but the base is black. So we still are hitting the mark of she will feel comfortable wearing that color.
But look special.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that when it comes to mothers in general, the first thing they want to prioritize is feeling comfortable with their look, and that's what we want to for them. Of course, there will be moments that they say, I want to hide my arms, so I want to cover them in a creative way. So I think that for them, we try and get a little bit more creative with how to give them that, but the base of the dress not being so limited by that. Then we go into a bolero, we go into adding a sleeve. So I would say they think they're going to be limited with the market, but it's not. There's other ways to really hit that mark of getting what they need and the coverage they need. But at the same time, I have to admit, we do a lot of custom for them because they might not find it out there. So that is the very first thing, the base of the dress being custom and having the internal support, longer corsets on the inside, for example, and just just kind of achieving that a little quicker than just going shopping for months and months and months.
Yeah, I feel like with moms, they automatically feel like there aren't that many places to go.
Yeah.
Where are you sending them?
I have to admit, we are big Oscar de la Renta fans. We love the team. We love what Fernando and Laura are doing these days to just make it special and different. But at the same time, they are offering the option of, if you don't like the base, the color, let's say, and they have it available, they will change the skirt.
Amazing.
And you're not starting from scratch with the look. They're just changing the color to really match the aesthetic of the wedding. We love Elisa. We are, again, Heidi at Elisa. Hello. We love her very much. And again, they're able to really achieve a look when it comes to, let's say, that you need better sizing or things like that. They're able to accommodate rather easily. Monique, of course, Herrera, I think they still take it. I mean, we absolutely love their pieces. It's classic, but I feel like West is doing such a good job.
When you have a Herrera dress, there's something, I mean, that is just such a moment in time and such a specific client.
Yeah.
I always love styling Herrera. I think it's really beautiful and classic, and also just really works well with our aesthetic.
Yeah, I think West Gordon's doing an amazing job in keeping Herrera's classic silhouettes, but then adding a little bit of a twist.
A little modern flair.
Yeah, so I think they're doing an incredible job at keeping that kind of brand very much exciting for mothers out there too.
I love that. When it comes to shopping for the dress, how do you deal with different body types and body shapes? And do you guys kind of play by the rules, like this is good for this type, this is good for another type, you know, A-line, curvy, more athletic body types? What's kind of your styling philosophy?
We do very much in-depth styling consultation. This is where we ask you, what do you like to accentuate? What do you like to minimize? But I have to admit, I've had brides to say, I hate a halter, I hate a strapless, and that's exactly what they end up with.
That's so funny.
So we try and plan their shopping days in a specific order to really get them to when they try the wedding dress that we anticipate that they would love. Again, considering other factors of their style consult, they're ready to say yes and know why. But we have to acknowledge the fact that they have to try on dresses. No matter what we think will work, we have to allow them to feel like they made that choice for themselves. But again, and 80-something% of brides, I would say, end up with something entirely different that they thought that they'd wear.
I hear that a lot. I have brides who come in here and they're like, I tried on 200 dresses, but I went back to the first one I tried on. How many dresses is too many to try on?
I think Julie and myself would have a little bit of a different answer to this, because the Stylish Bride was founded because of that, because Julie had to try on so many dresses and not have someone to guide her through that. I think that the reason why someone like us would be helpful is to avoid getting to that even 100 mark.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, I think it's tough, and I think at that point, there's something that you're missing. There's something that you're not necessarily processing, or it's not aligning with your vision, and it's time to address that versus continue to go on the same cycle of trying on 100 more. I think that there's certain designers that will lean a little bit more into the boho aesthetic or the more glam aesthetic or the more, you name it at the end of the day. So we're able to really kind of get you to that point without making it a bit of an overwhelming moment of just realizing it's been too many, I can't do this anymore.
So I love the idea of sitting down and kind of internalizing what you like. I always say, what do you wear to other friends' weddings? Like, if you've never worn a drop earring, we're not going to start with your wedding day, because comfort is going to make you feel the most beautiful. So if you don't have a Dee or a Julie in your life and you are just about to start the wedding dress process, what are the questions to ask yourself, and what are the top things to avoid?
We always recommend going into your closet. Go into your closet, really identify what necklines do you find yourself gravitating the most. Even colors at this point. Really understand if you're more of a risk taker and have a lot of bold patterns, like super bright colors, then understand you might be a bolder bride and maybe are wanting to lean more into the trends. If you find more classic styles, like, I mean, I love a lot of button downs, I love a lot of cleaner cuts, then I understand that maybe I do have a little bit of classic in me as a bride. So I think that that's an easier way to approach it. Go into your own closet, ask yourself what makes you happy, what makes you feel confident. Before, we cannot say this enough, before you jump into social media and see what other brides love. I mean, we just had a bride that is not over 5'5", and thinking that she was going to love this fully laced, almost, fully covered dress, and we lose her.
Right, she's swimming in it. We can't have that.
Yeah, so she saw another bride. She's like, that is my ideal look. She tried it on. She's like, what was I thinking? So it is part of that process.
Yeah, you don't know until you try. You don't know until you know.
But definitely look at your closet, look within yourself, look at, like you said, what have you worn to other weddings? What silhouettes are you really leaning into? Even analyze your venue, time of year. Does it make sense to wear long sleeve? Does it make sense to wear a very heavy gown if you're getting married by the ocean? I mean, take in consideration those things too, to prioritize that when you're shopping.
So you mentioned social media. We love social media here. It's very much a blessing and a curse, I think, when it comes to bridal, especially with the dress.
Yeah.
Everything is moving so quickly now. You buy your dress about a year in advance, and then you're scrolling through Instagram and you see someone else in it. What is your advice for all the emotions that come with that? Obviously, it's hard to just shut down social media, but what would you say to a bride who recently saw their dress online, thinking they may be the first one in their friend group to wear it? How do you navigate that? How do we navigate this, crazy, fast-paced world?
If I had to answer this very honestly, go through it. Understand that it is upsetting and be okay with that moment and just embrace it. And then it's time to shift gears and move on. And there will be ways to make it different. Let's say if your friend wore it one way during your alterations process, maybe there's something that you could change a little bit. This is me just getting creative on the spot, but it would be something like, how do you make it your own?
A little bit different.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be an entire 180 of why you love the dress in the first place, but there's subtle ways to make it your own. Accessories is a huge thing.
Totally.
I think that can entirely change a look, the way you wear your hair. I mean, you'll know what makes it too identical and what doesn't, and you know that whatever it is fitting for you will not be for your friend or whomever you saw on social media. So there will be many ways, like again, accessories, alterations, and fit in general that will not look the same.
I think that's such a good point. I'll be honest, I have styled many brides who have worn the same dress, Monique in particular. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of Monique dresses out there, and every bride really finds a way to make it their own.
Yeah.
And I really love that, and I think accessories come into play there. Mm-hmm. And I think you're so right. With different body types, different hair, different makeup, it can look entirely different.
So it's setting.
Exactly. You can wear the same dress in a ballroom in New York City and then on the beach in the Hamptons.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I love it. Any last bit of advice to our Verstolo community and our Verstolo brides? One thing that you kind of want to leave them with?
The first thing I'm going to say is there's a reason why we're sitting here today and we have the relationship that we do. Really lean into vendors and companies that have your best interest at heart. Mm-hmm. Every client that has walked through your doors feels at home right away. Work with people that are excited to work with you.
Definitely.
Don't force yourself into a situation or a brand or that really looks at you as one more. It's a big no-no for us.
Especially in luxury.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
You're paying for a product, a piece. It should reflect that with the team that is supporting you along the way. That always shows if you're not having a good time with it. So that leads into my second point, have so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a year of planning and making decisions. If your partner is not necessarily overly interested in coming along for everything, find ways.
Find us, because we'll have fun with you.
And, I think too, having the ability to even come in here and understand the history behind it, the quality behind it. Even if you're not coming to make decisions right away, find ways to come in, educate yourself, and find ways and people that are willing to do that for you. Instead of convincing you that this is why you have to wear something, they're actually educating you as to the history behind it, what does it mean, where it comes from. I think quality will always surpass a trend.
Absolutely. And that's what really brides are looking for. It's a very different shopping experience than anything else you've shopped for in your life. It's all about quality. It's all about you and looking and feeling your best. And I do have to give a shout out to Julie's new book, which she launched earlier this year. Honestly, I have read through it, and I don't like to read books, but I did read through this book, and I think it's the perfect gift for any bride who's obviously into fashion and into the bridal experience, because everything you need is really in here, and she really breaks down some interesting aspects of the shopping process, everything from your fittings to are shoes important to your bridesmaids and the mom. So really good gift for anyone who's looking to gift their friends something a little bit different.
Absolutely. Our goal this year has truly been to educate and really expand on resources. So not only with the book, which again, Julie absolutely shares every single tip there is to know, but also on our website, there's a resource library. We have a podcast. I mean, we really are trying to lean more into the educational piece of it all and understanding the why behind it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Dee. This was so much fun. And if you want to learn more about styling, make sure to follow The Stylish Bride, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.